So my company here is PT Capital Univesco, and I've got a money management license with that company and also real estate license on that company. The headquarters are based in Jakarta. The benefit and the beauty of opening up an Indonesian entity, an Indonesian company, is you can register your company in a city, particular city, and work and live anywhere else. So I don't necessarily have to. I have
So it's
to have
not attached to one city like in China.
No, not
Okay.
like in China. So if your company and your visa, everything is according to that particular city, that particular visa bureau. Unlike in Indonesia, it doesn't work that way. However, there's one thing that when you are registering a company, make sure that virtual offices are not allowed. So you'll have to have physical office.
Okay.
A desk and 2 chairs are sufficient enough.
Okay.
And for your paperwork, you will have to send your paper across to the city of registration. But then again, that's just like posting your documents. You don't necessarily have to visit offices.
Of course, for the whole process, the agency will help. Like,
Of course, they will help. And but in terms of signing and everything, you will have to physically sign the papers. E-signatures are still not applicable here in Indonesia.
Okay.
So you will have to sign the documents and then get them posted over.
all right.
Will help, of course. with
Let
the
me ask
registration.
you. Let me ask you a question about the visa again.
Yes.
You said that it's not attached to one city. Is it
No.
attached still to one company, or is
Yes.
it an open work visa?
No, it's attached to that particular company.
Okay.
You can only generate revenue on your company.
You cannot
not-
work somewhere else, like
No.
even part time.
No,
Not allowed, right?
not
You
unfortunately.
can receive
not.
only one salary. This is exactly like in China.
Exactly like China. However, you can live. So let's say register a company in Jakarta. It's easier to register a company in Jakarta for the purposes of you get more licenses
Okay.
if you need to do so,
Yeah.
like license on application.
Yeah.
And Bali is, however, introducing a digital nomad visa, which isn't
Pretty
applicable
soon.
yet.
Yep.
But still, that will be something for the remote workers, freelancers. That's a feasible option. However, if you want to establish a business and incorporate an entity here and expand your business and grow your business within the Southeast Asian region, definitely open up an office in Jakarta,
Okay.
company in Jakarta.
All right. Let me ask you about the capital requirements.
Yes.
Are there any paid-up
No.
capital requirements?
There's no
for-
paid-up capital requirements. However, just like China, you do have certain the share capital
Right.
of the business license. You have to circulate that kind of cash flow
Yeah.
over the course of the business license.
All right.
So just
Okay.
the same as China.
It is also similar to China, right?
Yes.
In China as well, you get this license, and the validity of the license is usually 30 years. And you have this time actually to inject that capital, which
Yes.
is registered capital initially. So, do you have registered capital in Indonesian company?
No, you have registered capital, but you don't have to pay up that capital
Okay.
at the outset. But
Is
it
there any minimum for the registered
No.
capital?
No,
You can put any number you
any
want.
number you want,
Okay.
exactly. And the reason why you would put a higher number, just like China, is in the future when your company becomes big, when your business expands, you want to dilute your shares for further investment, so on and so forth. So it's better to have a larger larger capital on
Right.
the business license.
Right.
So when you are diluting your shares, it's just more feasible in that regard.
Okay, understood. And also, let's talk about the licenses. In China, for example, in some areas, for example, food and beverage, education, etc., etc., foreign-owned companies are not involved to get into, like, they require either special licensing or permit or substantial amount of investment. In case of education, for example, there's, average minimum investment is 5 to 10 million USD.
Yes.
So how about in Indonesia?
Indonesia, the education license is quite hard to get for foreigners, to be very honest.
Mhm.
However, to get a real estate license, to get a food and beverage license, not that difficult. And
Okay.
definitely the capital requirements are not as much as China.
All right.
But again, it depends on each case. Each circumstances are different.
Okay.
Depends what kind of food you want to import or export,
Okay.
what kind of license you're looking for.
All right.
So I won't be able to give you an exact amount, like, for a food and beverage license, it's
Yeah.
an exact amount, let's say
Yeah.
$500,000, but it's definitely much cheaper than China.
Okay, got it. How long the whole process continues, like lasts the company formation, including opening your bank accounts, getting your permission, registering at the tax office? How long?
No more than a month. To be
Okay.
very honest, the company registration itself will take no longer than 10 days to 15 days,
Right.
15 working days. Bank account in itself will take, we have got relationships
Okay.
with the major banks.
Right.
BCA Bank, which is BCA in English,
Okay.
is the major bank of Indonesia. After the Bank in Indonesia, the central bank. We've got a relationship with that bank. So opening a bank account should not take no more than 5 to 7 days.
Okay.
Working
Is it
days.
difficult to open a bank account? Is there any like refusal?
In certain cases, there can be refusal, just like most other major economies.
Okay.
If you're from one of those unfortunately red list
Sanctioned countries, right?
sanctioned countries, red list countries,
Okay.
it can be a little bit difficult. However, if you have a strong passport or if you show a genuine business with a genuine business plan, it's very easy to get your KITAS. KITAS is your work visa on that company.
Okay.
You get a 2 years KITAS.
Right.
And once you get your KITAS, you have that company, you can get a local driver's license.
Right.
And also a bank account. And you're basically not a citizen,
Yeah.
but you do have certain perks that the citizens enjoy.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now, regarding that visa again, how many visas one company can sponsor? How many employees?
It depends.
Without any investment?
Without any investment, it depends on the size of the business, the nature of the business, and depends on the cash flow and the turnover of the business on an annual basis.
Let's say in the beginning, like when
in
you
the
register the company.
You're just yourself, maybe one more employee, but not no more than 2 or 3, to be very honest.
Okay.
But as the business grows, if you're able to show a positive cash flow, then definitely you can hire as many as you want. Up to 10, 12 people at least.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the bank accounts.
Yes.
In China, you can open a multi-currency bank account. That includes USD, GBP, or Euro, etc. You can add up, right?
Yeah, of course.
How about in Indonesia? Can you open such an account for your company, obviously?
Fortunately, in Indonesia, you can have a multi-currency bank account, and also there's no capital control. Just unlike China, there are no foreign capital controls to send your money abroad. So if you're generating revenue here, the local currency, you can repatriate that currency, the income, back to your home country, and you can have a multiple currency account in all the major currencies: Australian dollar, Hong Kong dollar, Euro dollar, pound, US dollar, Swiss franc, so on and so forth.
That's a very interesting point you brought up. Repatriating your income from one company to back home. So how does it work? Is there any restrictions on it?
No.
Like in China, it's very difficult to repatriate.
Very difficult, unfortunately, but here
and there's
in
like
Indonesia,
33% withholding tax.
Yeah. There are taxes here. 30% is the tax rate here in Indonesia. Of course, but then again, you can always optimize the taxes in an efficient manner.
Right.
But you don't have any capital controls per se as compared to China.
Okay. You can just go to the bank. You want to repatriate your income.
As long as the income is genuine, you have all the necessary tax receipts. You're showing a genuine income, genuine business. You can repatriate money and. Certain banks, for example, Mandiri Bank, I know, for example, and Digibank as well, which is a sister bank of DBS from Singapore. You can actually do a same-day currency transfer to UK and USA.
All right.
So if you transfer before the 2 p.m. local time, you'll get the money on the same day.
Okay, interesting. All right, so which banks, for example, would you recommend for your LTD company here?
BCA Bank, because it's a local bank.
BCA, right?
BCA.
Okay.
Sorry, I keep saying in the Indonesian language. BCA Bank, because it's the largest bank in the country, obviously. So you have to have an account in that. Then after that, Digibank, which is a sister bank of DBS. And the reason why I say Digibank is it's a fintech bank. So as you grow your business from a digital point of view, you have to have digital presence. Then Mandiri Bank is also very good. Mandiri Bank offers a lot of perks in terms of products, for foreigner and also for the locals as well. So you get a lot of products in that. And then you can open up in Maybank, which is a Malaysian bank. After that, it's up to you. But 2 necessary accounts are Digibank and BCA Bank. Personal account is very easy. Couple of forms.
Obviously, you need to have that KITAS first, right?
You have to have the KITAS first. You have to have a residence here first, so you'll have to show proof of residency. And once you have all that, you go to your bank, you have your passport, you fill out a couple of forms. It takes 5 to 7 days to open up a personal bank account.
Will you receive a card? Visa card, MasterCard?
You receive a Visa or MasterCard, and unlike China, there's no such thing as UnionPay here. They operate on the international format, Visa or MasterCard. And foreigners can also get credit cards as well. However, the requirements for such are a little bit different. You have to show presence in the country for at least 6 months to 1 year, at least, to get a credit card. But debit card, as soon as you open a bank account, you receive a debit card in 5 to 7 days.
How about in the case of company? Will you receive a company debit card as well?
Yes. Definitely, most definitely.
And again, a little bit going back to the company formation process. Like in China, having an accountant is necessary.
Yes.
Like in the beginning, you have to put the name of the accountant and you need to put their license number in the registration form. How about in Indonesia?
Same here in Indonesia. You'll have to hire an accountant. Of course, you'll have to file your annual taxes.
Right.
So it's necessary to have an accountant,
Mhm.
and you don't necessarily have to put the accountant, but you have to have a commissary, which is
Right.
a commissioner,
Mhm.
and that has to be a local citizen.
Okay.
We work with a team
Mhm.
who are locals that help us with the whole process. Just like Singapore, where you have to have a nominee director, a resident director.
Yeah.
It's the same here, but they're not director. They don't have any say in the company,
Yeah.
but they have to be on paper a
Right.
local resident,
Right.
a local citizen.
Right. Guys, overall speaking, like there are many similarities, as you can see,
Yes.
with China opening a company here and sponsoring your work visa through your own company. There are many similarities. But what I notice is in Indonesia, you will have more freedom
Yes.
in terms of currency control or even getting your work visa, work permit. And also, we talked about the special licenses and other like permits. In here, you get more like business areas, which don't require probably special
No.
licensing, right? Compared to China.
Yes.
All right. And regarding
One thing I would say, and I would like to mention in this video, is that China is an export country. It has
Yeah.
been a manufacturing economy since the last 40 years.
yeah,
So therefore, the government has certain levels of controls on who controls what and who does what.
Right.
However, Indonesia is opening up. Indonesia has become an emerging economy since the last 15 years, as compared to China since the last
Mhm.
50 years. Therefore, they're still opening up to foreigners, foreign capital, and inflow of foreigners, and so on and so forth. Therefore, the ease of doing business in Indonesia is much, much easier than in China for those reasons.
and especially during COVID times, right?
Yes. Yes.
China, most of you know, has been experiencing or practicing rather like on and off lockdowns
Yeah.
everywhere, especially in Shanghai. It's been so difficult to operate if you're a company owner. Like most of the time, there's no announcement. The announcement is usually like 1 or 2 days prior to the
Exactly.
lockdown,
Yeah.
which is so difficult.
And
especially
that too, there's no like national news as such.
Yeah.
It's your company, your building secretary,
Mhm.
the leader of the particular building.
Yeah.
The lady or the man might go
Yeah.
around and say send her maybe a notice
Yeah,
on the WeChat
last
platform.
lockdown was like a couple of hours, like
Yeah.
literally a couple of hours before the lockdown, and then after that we went to 3 months lockdown in Shanghai, which
Exactly.
is undesirable.
As a
for
business owner,
yeah.
it's not feasible. As a
Yeah.
small to medium business owner, it's unfeasible. You won't be
Yeah.
able to meet your clients. And the beauty of opening up a company and maintaining a company here in Indonesia is you can have your main office in one particular city, but you can have your meetings anywhere.
There's no such requirement as living in the place of company
Not at
registration.
all,
in
not
here,
at
right?
all.
You are
And
free to go,
also-
right?
Also,
Yeah.
just like tax haven countries,
Mhm.
for your annual AGM meetings, you don't necessarily, it's like a meeting on paper. You don't necessarily have to hold a meeting in person in a particular boardroom in a
Right.
5-star hotel.
Right.
As long as you're able to show, even the digital meeting is sufficient enough these days during COVID times.
This is actually one of the major differences, guys, because on this channel we talked about a lot. Like when you register a company in Shanghai or in China, in any city, and your work visa is attached to that company,
Yeah.
there is a like unwritten law in Chinese immigration that you have to live in the place of your company registration. Otherwise, they will
it's a sense of-
tend to refuse your visa.
It's a sense of ignorance.
Yeah.
Ignorance is a bliss.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I say that in such a way that, same as the Chinese mentality of the local people, they believe that just because, like for me, I have an Irish passport. I grew up in Ireland. My home is London,
Yeah.
with an office in India, office here in Indonesia,
Yeah.
office in China, office in the UK.
Right.
Just because of the Irish passport, went to the bank in Hong Kong, HSBC. Your passport is an Irish one. It's not a British passport. I'm like, well, duh. So it's just the mindset of the people. They feel like just because you have a passport to a particular country, you have to be there, live there, so on and so forth.
Right.
So same in China, when you open a company, just because my company is registered in Shanghai, I have to live in Shanghai, I have to go to the Shanghai's visa bureau to
Yeah.
renew my visa. Why? Why can I not just walk? Even for the local citizens, I had a friend in Shanghai, and she was living in Shanghai but from a different province. To get her Hong Kong ID card, Chinese citizens have to have a particular ID card to travel to Hong Kong. She had to go all the way back to her hometown
Yeah. They have this
Hukou
system.
system.
Yeah.
to apply for the
Yeah.
passport first and then the Hong Kong ID card.
Yeah. That's true.
So, and then she had to go all the way, which is like 3 or 4 hour train journey.
yeah.
Whereas very benefit here in Indonesia or elsewhere in the world, if I live in New York and I'm an Irish citizen, I can get my Irish passport renewed in New York if I want.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we touched a lot of topics,
Yes, we did.
definitely. So we're gonna do a follow-up video before this gets too long.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Rishi.
problem,
We
just-
didn't touch the costs here, but obviously the cost and expenses will be related to the type of company. Feel free to contact us. Okay, leave your questions better in the description, in the comment section below, and we're going to make a follow-up video based on those questions.
Yeah.
So once again, thank you, Rishi. Really
No problem.
appreciate it.
Same
And
here.
yeah,
Always good to have you on the channel, and
Okay.
good
Thank
for
you very
having.
much.
Thanks for having me.
thank you. See you guys in the
Thank
next
you.
one.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Bye.